Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I'm a 27-year-old female and I've been married to my husband for 4 years. Throughout these years, my mother in law has always been very clear about showing her disapproval for me in everything I stand for. She was not supportive of our marriage at all. And when my husband insisted on marrying me, she started taking out all of her frustration on me by nagging and scolding and making me feel humiliated. A few days ago, I decided to extend an olive branch because I was tired of the environment of unpleasantness that was always created because of our disagreements. I wanted to make my husband happy, and his wife and mother being at each other's throats was only making him stressed, even though he tried his best to defend me. I thought that inviting my mother-in-law for dinner and having an open conversation with her would work wonders towards our relationship. When I invited my mother-in-law for lunch, she accepted, even though she didn't seem very happy about it. She seemed skeptical of my intentions and made it clear that she was going to be her most unpleasant self around me. I tried my best to hold on to my temper that was wearing thin at this point and told her that I was attempting to mend our relationship. She suddenly stopped arguing at all with me, and there was something in her voice when she agreed to come that I couldn't quite place. The day of our lunch rolled around. I was honestly really anxious about this because I wanted it to go well. A lot was banking on the outcome of this lunch, and I really wanted everything to go as planned so that my husband could be free of stress finally. However, I should have been a bit more prepared, seeing as this was my mother-in-law I was talking about. She would never make anything easy for me, and I should have expected that instead of hoping for us to become friends in some way. My mother-in-law arrived right on time, but she had brought 5 of her friends with her. Now, this was not something I had expected because she had not asked for permission from me or even informed me about anything of this sort. I started panicking right away because I was not prepared with lunch for so many people. I had only chicken enough for my mother-in-law and me. I didn't let my panic show on my face, though, as I welcomed them in. The minute they came in, my mother-in-law wanted to sit for lunch, so I apologetically informed them that I had not made enough food for so many people, and I would need some time to whip something up, though I would try to be fast. Then my mother-in-law started making this lunch a nightmare and picking on me. She loudly informed her friends that this was the reason why she never wanted someone like me to be married into the family, because I never knew to be prepared for emergencies. This didn't end here. My mother-in-law and all of her friends continued hurling abuse at me and passive-aggressively attacking me and saying things about how incompetent I am. I tried to mention that my mother-in-law hadn't informed me that there would be extra people at lunch, but nobody listened to me. I had to work as hard as I could to make a quick lunch with my mother-in-law and her friends, harping on about my uselessness the entire time. Finally, lunch was ready, but things didn't improve. Everyone refused to eat lunch because they found it offensive that they had to wait while I cooked. I told them that if they had told me that they were that hungry, I would have ordered something, which they found even more offensive. I apologized for what I don't know, but they didn't seem to want to hear my apologies and only told me that this proved how much of a failure I was as a wife because I couldn't even entertain guests at lunch properly. Honestly, this really humiliated me, and I tried to not cry in front of them as my pride was in tatters. My mother-in-law seemed to be very satisfied with the outcome of this dinner, as she told me that I shouldn't ever invite her again with ulterior motives, because she always knew how to one-up me. She told her friends that this was how I was every day, and I was a failure at everything, so she couldn't have expected any better from me this time. I couldn't believe that anyone could be so cruel enough to lie outright to their friends after deliberately sabotaging me. They stormed off, leaving me alone. Honestly, I cried as I threw away the now useless lunch. I had put in a lot of effort to make this lunch a success, and I was really hoping to set things right with my mother-in-law. But this was a two-way street. I couldn't put in all the effort and have her sabotaging me every single time. I was furious with her at this point, a fury that I had never directed to her before. I decided that just as she sabotaged my attempts to mend our relationship, I would sabotage something important to her. This was the only way I could show her that I was not someone to be taken advantage of like this. When I told my husband about everything, he wasn't very surprised. He knew what his mother was like, and he was more surprised that I kept investing efforts into a relationship while she insulted me and sabotaged me at every step. He told me that I needed to show her that I wasn't about to be trodden on by her. I agreed, since she takes me for a complete pushover. I need to make her face the consequences of her actions. A few days later, she came over to meet my husband, and while conversing with him, she gave me some gold that I could use to really ruin her. She mentioned her friends and kept gossiping about them, talking about their private affairs, and making judgment comments about them that she wouldn't ever have made to their faces. She kept insulting them and reducing them to a laughingstock, mentioning how easy it was to use people like that to your advantage. I really couldn't pass up this opportunity. I started secretly recording every single thing that she said, knowing that I would be a fool to not use this to my advantage. I secretly signaled to my husband to keep her going, and he caught on to my plans and egged her on. She loves gossiping about people, so it really wasn't a hardship. Honestly, I got so much proof of the fact that she is double-faced because she never knows how to be kind and genuine about people instead of judging them. I love the opportunity that I got, and I knew that I would use this to my full advantage. Once she left, I asked my husband if he thought I was being too mean, but he felt that I was only giving her the just desserts for her actions. It was karma, and she really shouldn't have tried to sabotage me if she didn't want me sabotaging her. Also, I hadn't forced her to say anything. All I had done was recorded the things that she normally says. I didn't make her be judgmental. I understood his points and asked him for a way to contact my mother-in-law's friends through the mobile or something because I didn't want to face them after giving them the recordings. My husband somehow gathered their contact numbers and gave them to me, both of us feeling nervous and excited in equal amounts for what we were going to do now. He told me that she deserved what was coming to her, and we decided to simply go ahead with our plan. I anonymously sent the recordings to each of the friends, knowing that once they hear the recordings, my mother-in-law will be in a huge amount of trouble. Once the final friend had been sent the recording, I kind of felt smug. I know that revenge is supposed to be bad, but oh, it tastes so sweet. I cannot wait for the friends to react after listening to the recordings. I'm pretty sure my mother-in-law will realize that it was me who sent them the recordings, but I honestly couldn't care less at this point. We know she might come to confront us, but tonight we will sleep well knowing that she will be in hot water tomorrow. She really deserves to lose all her friends if she is as double-faced as this to friends who really do support her. I hope she sees the error of her ways once the friends end things with her. Today, in the morning, my mother-in-law stormed into our house, demanding an explanation for why her friends accused her of being double-faced and saying mean things about them. She marched straight up to me and accused me of having had something to do with this, looking completely unhinged in her fury. In fact, I felt a little scared at that moment. My husband stepped in and told her that she had sabotaged my lunch and I was only making her taste her own pills by sabotaging her friendships. Also, no one made her say the things that she said, so she couldn't very well blame us. She had been mean, judgmental, and horrible in general, and she needed to see how entitled she was being and how much the people surrounding her put up with. This was the best way to make her see reason. For a few moments, my mother-in-law was speechless. She had genuinely thought her son would back her up. She clearly told me that I was to take back all of the things in the recording and tell the friends that they were digitally manipulated, but I refused. I told her that I didn't take orders from her, and at this point, I was tired of catering to her wishes. If she wanted her friends back, she needed to convince them that she had changed. I wouldn't lie and say that recording was false. She screamed in my face at that moment. She told me that she had always tried to not outright harm me, but if this was what I was going to do, she would cut me and her son off from the family. I told her to go ahead, knowing that only her husband had that power, and he very well knew her personality, so he wouldn't bend to her wishes. She gave up in frustration and left our house. It's a very small victory for us, but we are glad nonetheless. Maybe now she'll stop attacking me because she knows I will stand up for myself. This lesson could have been taught in a less mean way, but I had enough of her insulting me. I needed this revenge on her. Mother-in-law was so dominating. She deliberately tried to hurt OP. I'm glad that OP got her revenge because these people definitely need a dose of reality to understand the world doesn't revolve around them. OP was arguably mean, but mother-in-law was the one who said those things. Don't expect true friendship if you can't be genuine about your emotions. OP did the right thing, and I hope the mother-in-law realizes the error of her ways. I'm a 28-year-old male and happily married to my wife, Sarah, 31. We've been together for over 6 years and married for 3 years. My mother, Laura, 45, had me pretty early on. She always wanted a big family and has been together with my dad since they were 14. After she had me, she decided to be a stay-at-home mom and in a space of next 10 years had a total of 7 kids. So I have loads of siblings. She has recently announced that I am to become a brother again. Me and Sarah have been struggling to conceive for the past 3 years. We really would like to have a kid together and considered surrogacy, but my family kind of talked us out, saying we shouldn't trust our child with some unknown woman. I have suggested my mother or my sister to become our surrogate if they aren't that worried, but both of them declined, saying that they can't have any more children and won't be able to carry. My sister has 5 kids. And just to note, I love Sarah regardless if we have a child or not and willing to adopt, but she really wants us to have our own. Me and Sarah have tried a lot of options, and recently, unfortunately, she had another miscarriage, and this was really upsetting and depressing for both of us. I have shown my support, and my mother, who knew about all of our struggles and recent miscarriage, invited us out for dinner at her house yesterday, which Sarah wanted to attend as she is in very good relationship with my mother. My entire family was there and the dinner was going well. Sarah congratulated my mother on her pregnancy and I thought that would be it. Then my sister announced that she is pregnant again, and basically her and my mother ended up having the baby talk really loudly when my sister was excited to have another brother and my mother wanted to have another grandchild. That was too much for Sarah. So she got up and left in tears, and I followed her shortly after. She had to cut off her family because they kept telling her she's not a woman for not being able to have children, is too old, and this gets to her too much. After we got home, my mother called me and said Sarah behaved herself very rudely, and she is expecting an apology as it has ruined the dinner to celebrate life. I got angry and have told her that she was completely out of line and inconsiderate for having the baby talk with my sister when she knew Sarah had another miscarriage, and her life celebration dinner made things a lot worse for both Sarah and I. I have also said that if she told us what the dinner was, we would not have come. At the end, I was called an a-hole for not appreciating another life being born. AITA? Just to point out, my mother has told me and Sarah that the dinner was to support her after the miscarriage. In no way or form she mentioned about this being about celebration of life, pregnancy announcement, fertility lottery, and babies. If it was the case and we were aware about it, we wouldn't have come. NTA, your mom and sister talked you out of using a surrogate because you can't trust a stranger, then lied about why they won't be surrogates. It is okay to not want to be a surrogate, but they didn't have to blatantly lie about the reason. Then your mother lies to you to get you over for dinner, telling you the dinner was to supporting your wife, when in fact it was for her and your sister to announce their pregnancies. What are the odds your mother didn't know about your sister's pregnancy before the dinner? They both then spent a significant amount of time talking, congratulating each other, and talking about the miracle of babies, as if they have never had this conversation before. Do you see a pattern here? This did not happen by accident. They manipulated you out of pursuing surrogacy, and they lied in the worst possible way to manipulate you both to show up for dinner. They knew how much it would hurt. It wasn't a bug. It was a feature. Your mother and sister are knowingly sabotaging your wife and your happiness. I'm a 17-year-old female and I turn 18 in a few weeks. I'm counting down the days to getting out of my parents' house. They, however, have become so reliant on me that I know they are dreading the day and are wishing they could legally prevent me from moving out. I'm their oldest kid. They have 4 others, all under 10. My siblings have been put on me for a very long time now. Even when I was their ages, it was expected I would step up because I'm the oldest. It was both parentification and the old school thing of the oldest is expected to help because they were born first. Not all of it was parentification, but some of it sure was. We're talking about helping with homework, making sure they didn't kill each other, walking them to friends' houses, watching them while mom and dad run errands. But you also had stuff like feed them lunch and or dinner when mom and dad weren't home, babysit overnight when they wanted to go to stuff, walk them to school once they started. I was told I needed to know how to change diapers and feed them as babies. That's the sort of stuff that happened a lot. I got some freedom, but for every afternoon I could do whatever, I needed at least 3 weeks of work behind me. Over time, it became me being the one home more than them, and guilt trips laid at my feet if I wanted to do something, and my siblings wanted me to be home with them instead. And my parents saying I should treasure those moments while they want me like that. I'm pretty damn tired of it. I don't enjoy my siblings. Part of me wishes they had never been born, so at least I could have looked out for just myself and not had to sacrifice so much. I don't feel like the benefits are there for me, and it's sad because most of my friends adore having siblings. While I'm left feeling like it's a chore. I started saving some money when I was 14. My parents don't know, but it can help me move out right as I turn 18. The topic of my birthday came up recently, and my parents came to me all, "You'll still come around, right? You'll still help take care of them, right? You still owe us, you know. We're still your family," with that kind of stuff. I told them, no, I wouldn't. They told me to think of the kids, if not them. That's when I said I didn't choose to have their kids, and I wasn't going to keep making their life easier and my life more difficult. That I'll be gone, and they'll have to figure crap out on their own. AITA? NTA, you were the parent during your teen years. It's time for them to become a parent now. Happy early birthday, and I hope you get a nice place to stay and it all works out well. Any debt between parent and child works the other way around. They owe you your independence and freedom. It is time to collect on that debt.